Hello and welcome to the NUEL Stream 2. So, brand new season, folks. Hope you're all very excited. With me, I have Farrow, aka Garrow.
What's
Gary,
happening?
And we're going to be casting Stream 2 of the NUEL tonight. First game up, Southampton A versus Birmingham. That's Southampton University versus Birmingham University. And it's looking a pretty exciting game. Have you looked much into the teams, Gary?
I've checked out like the rankings in each of the teams. With I think Birmingham came out on top with sort of highest ranked. They had 3 diamonds, 2 platinum players, and 1 gold. Whereas Southampton University came out with 2 diamonds, 1 plat, 1 gold, a silver, and 1 unranked. So that unranked could, the unranked can be a sort of wild card. You don't know how highly they can play.
Yeah, and in terms of seeding, we have Birmingham at number 6 seed versus Southampton A at number 11 seed. But you really don't know. The rankings are based more on the solo queue ratings rather than how their team may play as a team. So the synergy could be far better in Southampton A. So going to be a really interesting team. Haven't really heard much of either, but this is what it's going to be like in this first week. I'd like to just explain how our tournament's going to run tonight. We have a top 16 which are competing for 4 places in the Super 8. And if you're not quite aware of the Super 8 and how it works, you can visit www.theNUEL.com, which has more information on it. I'll give you a quick rundown. And basically, the Super 8 are going to be the top 8 teams in the tournament, which are going to compete in a sort of LCS style top team competition with a open tournament, open group underneath it, which will also compete weekly. So it's going to be quite exciting, and we've got many weeks of some exciting games to come.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Super 8 game sort of plays out, with each week going on as it goes, and because it's much a shorter amount of time spent. Like, this is only a 5-week long. Am I right in saying 5-week long before we completely start over again? So like the full tournament itself is longer, but it's coming in 5-week. It's coming in 5-week sections, and if you do check out the Super 8 bracket, I'll explain why that happens. But with that, and allowing more teams to come through into the Super 8, you could see some teams come up from the Open Division and come up in completely surprises in the Super 8.
Yeah, and we're commentating on the top bracket tonight, which is the top 16 teams, which have been seeded from both last season and their solo queue ranks, as well as other point scoring systems to get them into here. This does not mean, however, the lower bracket, the entry level bracket, cannot in fact make it to the Super 8. We also already have ACOG and Manchester into 2 of the teams for the Super 8. So through both of these tournaments, they are competing for the final 6 places. 2 of which will be made up of the entry bracket tournament. And basically, if any of the teams, either in the top bracket or the entry level bracket, lose a game, they will be put into a lower bracket situation where if they lose a game in the lower bracket, they will be eliminated and will sacrifice the place of a chance at the Super 8.
Yeah, so at the moment, if you've tried to log on to League recently, there's been a number of login issues and all sorts of chat issues. So just now we're just waiting on a couple of relogs, and then we're going to come back to you in Champ Select.
Yeah, definitely.
Welcome back, everyone. You join us now, just about to get into the game, and I'm pretty sure we're just about to go through a champ select.
Yep, let us apologise for the delays. Riot OP. So it's going to be a great game. We're just about to join the Champions Select and can get with you on the picks and bans. Have you looked through these players? Can you anticipate anyone that they might be playing?
I've been checking them out, and the captain for one of the teams plays a lot of Evelyn, and most of his lane play seems to be mid lane. So if that is Evelyn mid lane, that's like, for me, it's a rare thing to see in mid lane, and it'd be quite exciting to see how the other team copes and deals with it.
Yeah. And the first ban is Shen, so that's a fairly standard ban. The global obviously being very OP. Jarvan come out as well, which is another fact that his ganks are just incredibly easy to set up and dodge around the wards. What do you think of the first two bans?
Yeah, these are probably just basic sort of bans. If they don't know a lot about each other, they'll want to ban out champs that they know are just generally strong. Like, a lot of times, targeted bans go against the player, and obviously they don't want to verse something, and that's all this is down to. Is just like, we know if like a lot of people can play Jarvan, so we'll ban Jarvan. Jarvan's strong. Shen as well, and Zed is just generally scared to play against wherever he is. Again, a very not common ban.
Yeah, from the Thresh going down, so we're not going to see that beautiful championship Thresh skin come out. When teams are fairly unknown like this, like you say, these standard bans coming out, the casting just coming out as well. And the Assassins at mid lane coming very popular in the last few weeks and during the World Finals. Last ban to come from Sotan, so we'll see and wait on that.
Yeah, they're taking their time here. They're probably at this point, all the champs they wanted are wear out, and they're just probably thinking, who else can we get, because they're happy with what's currently out there.
Yeah, and the Airy ban comes in. So 3 of the 4 Assassin sort of standard mid lanes have been banned out. The Fizz still left up. Orianna has been picked up by Birmingham, and that's a fairly standard mid pick. What do you think of the Orianna pick?
The Orianna pick is... I've seen a lot of Orianna played, obviously, just by pro players and what have you. And it's pretty sort of... The Orianna pick, it's strong. That shockwave can just devastate teams if played right, and it's always exciting to see Orianna play.
Yeah, and just the ease with farming with Orianna is just... You tend to hit that quite kind of 20-minute mark because it's easy to get over the 200 farm. I'm aware we've got a few streaming issues as have been whispered in my ear, so I do apologise for that. We will get it back up. In fact, I think it's just popped back up, which is fantastic. So you've missed the Caitlyn and the Diana pick. So Caitlyn great at lane pushing, and that Diana's brilliant against the Orianna because of how aggressive she can go. On the other side, and the least looking to be a least jungle being picked up, as well as the Zyra, which I'd have thought would be in the support role.
Yeah, that the Caitlyn is actually sort of looking at it a pick against Birmingham's AD carry, because I've seen it. Caitlyn's, I think, his 3rd most played champion rank. So whether they've done their research or not, I'm not quite sure, but it'd be interesting to know if they have, and to know how many other teams have been looking into it.
And they've not actually locked in either of the champions yet, so they could potentially go in for the Sona here, which with that great AoE ulti can change a lot. We'll see what they're just about fluctuating between the Garen, which has been a really strong pick in solo queue recently. I've seen it taking a boom. But they're going to lock in the Sona, which is fantastic. You know, that AoE ulti can be a total team fight changer.
Especially with the shockwave on top as well, because no matter the order, say Orianna lands a good shockwave, that crescendo can come right over you, lock you up for ages, or the crescendo can come out first, allowing Orianna to get into position, make a good shockwave, and that is going to be quite an aggressive team to play against.
And seeing that the Zyra hasn't actually been locked in, Sotan has chosen to pick up the Zyra themselves. It's not locked in, but that's a really good pick against the Sona with her low HP. Nautilus also being brought in there, so some great AoE.
Yeah, I'd love to see Nautilus played. Nautilus is definitely one of my favourite champs to see being played in any situation at all. And the Zyra didn't get locked in, they've switched to a Vayne, but I was going to say the Zyra would be pretty good if that Stranglethorn
Yep, and I
gets
can
down.
confirm that the Zyra has been locked in. So
Yeah, so if she can get that Stranglethorn down, that could really, really help against that aggressive play, especially with maybe a Renekton coming into it, because that Zyra is it's known as a fantastic disengage and engage, but the disengage from it is so strong.
yeah, definitely. And then lane, I mean, the harass coming from a Caitlyn and Zyra is really scary. Fine, they may not have an all-in potential like other AD carry and support lanes, but if she catches you once or twice, it's actually going to be tricky to get farm against Caitlyn and Zyra. The Corki and Renekton locked in for Birmingham there, and Renekton a fairly standard pick for the last couple of months or so, but the Corki's really seen a boom with the change of the Triforce. What do you think of Corki recently?
See, I think when I seen him, I was quite excited to see it played because it was something very new, and it was good to see because Corki he'd been ignored for a long time until the Triforce change came out, and then after a while, I just sort of got bored of seeing him being picked because it was just that I know like every team is obviously going to pick the strong champion they want to win, but it did get a little stale for me watching him.
Yeah, and I mean, Triforce did take a bit of a nerf last patch. They removed some of the movement speed as well as up the cost of the Phage and the Triforce completion. So that's a bit of a nerf, which could actually take away from the strength of Corki. Lee Sin has been locked in. I'm guessing it's a Lee Sin top, and they're not going to swap and have a Nautilus top. Though I have seen it done in some
Yeah, I
fairly.
think Lee Sin's probably a little bit more. Well, Nautilus could just want to sit up the top and tank, farm up, and do his damage from there. But unless they lock in a teleport, maybe he's not a very fast champ for getting around unless he gets those mobility boots, and basically has to run everywhere he wants to go.
Yeah, definitely. Elise obviously such potential to make plays and even invade. Just a generally really strong champion with tons of damage that you can down in any lane if you land your cocoon. So both comps looking really strong. Both have a good mix of AoE, assassination, and utility kind of on each side. So could be a really interesting game to see. What do you expect to come out from the invades? Are either team in a better position to invade or stop the invade?
I'd say both teams are quite equal on the invade. Like, I reckon with like the stuns coming out from Birmingham with the Renekton and the Elise. Although if that does happen, it would slow down Elise's jungle time, and hopefully, I'm not entirely sure. I'd give it to Birmingham. I'd give the invade to Birmingham.
Yeah, but I can understand that. You know, there's a lot of damage coming out with that Triforce, and the Corki obviously being able to get vision in bushes. They're all really good invade kind of skills. On the other hand, I think Sotan are going to really need to invest in some early wards, make sure that Elise can't be roaming around and disrupting the Nautilus because of a utility advantage in the early game with her repel ability. In terms of laning phase, I mean, personally, I think Orianna and Diana are fairly evenly matched in the early. Obviously, Diana's got a farm up with a lot of melee attacks, and Orianna can really take advantage of her passive. What about the other lanes? What do you think's going to be kind of the matchup between Renekton and Lee Sin, and similarly in the bottom lane, or are we even going to see any lane switch ups right now?
I don't think the lane switch ups will really happen. I think both teams will play quite conventionally, just keep it simple, keep it what everyone's probably used to from playing themselves. What I'm really interested to see the Caitlyn Zyra lane. That's a lane that I like to see. It's very strong, but it's not too flashy. It's quite an intimidating lane to be against, like you said, with the grasping roots from Zyra. If you get caught by two saw early on in the game, that can put you back, send you back to base. You lose out on a lot of farming experience, and at those early levels, it is the levels that come into it, because each level you level up, you become so much stronger than the level before, and it really shows if you're 2 levels ahead in the early game.
Yeah, definitely, especially against that Sona who sits on such low health on the start. 400 and something odd health, lowest health champion in the game, and that's going to be really really scary sitting there trying to play Sona and play that aggressive Sona poke style versus Lyra and Caitlyn. Even if they manage to pick up a kill, the Sona and the Qualificaiton, the Zyra passive is always scary, especially when you've got very little health. So we're just about 10 seconds away from getting into the game and going into the loading screen. Any other thoughts before we get into this game?
Nothing that can come to mind, but I'm really looking forward to seeing like the Diana. If the Diana tries to go in past level 6 to try and assassinate Orianna, if Orianna also has her out, that can really disrupt Diana. Like Orianna can pop that. Command distance, I'm sure it is, gives her the speed buff as well. Combination of that, and she's out of there. Diana's probably somewhere near turret taking all sorts of damage.
Yeah, and there's plenty of rooms for outplays in all of these lanes. Quite often when we see these team comps being selected, you can call early on who's going to have the advantage in lane, providing they don't get a good gank or make a mistake. But this is really all to play for. Both comps have just as good a chance at taking this game, and I mean, neither team really has that big a weak point. Obviously, Caitlyn versus the Corki matchup, if Corki manages to get quite an early Triforce's damage, is huge in the mid game. But there's no real drop off from either team, I would say, and that's just going to be make the team fights really exciting. Just waiting on the Zyra. Seems to have a bit of a slow PC, so hopefully that'll load up in a second. But I'm really excited for this game. Obviously, don't know a great deal about either team apart from their rankings, but it's just got lots going for it right now.
Yeah, I think for the early game, I'm going to give it to Sotan. I've thought about it a bit more, and I think they'll come out stronger after the laning phase. But seeing how the team fights go together, if Birmingham can work everything together properly, then they could put up quite a strong fight.
Yeah, and Birmingham, are pinging towards Sotan's blue side. Whether they're just wanting to protect their red buff or actually get a gank off here. We see them walking into this bush with the Nautus sitting precariously on this side. So I think we're going to see some action in this early game.
Yeah, I really hope we do. It'd be nice to see a busy, fast-paced game for a first game for this.
Zyra actually missed her ward right there. They didn't actually need to start shooting that. That didn't drop into the bush, I don't believe, give vision. So both teams just in a bit of a Mexican standoff right now. Both know each other are nearby. Sotan are going to try and get into the red area and probably get a ward out onto this red buff, taking it away from the Elise. Yep, and that's exactly what's going to happen, and they're going to mimic the ward on top of their own red buff. So, plenty of wards being dropped already. Engage going down from Zyra. She's caught in a bit of a dodgy situation right here, split from the rest of the team. Birmingham are going to try and chase it down, but she's just spending plenty of time in order to not let herself get into that situation. So, Nautilus going to drop back to his blue buff. Elise going to still take that red buff, knowing that ward's there, but no real threat to come from Sotan right now.
Yeah, we had that little bit of action there, but it wasn't what I'd call exciting, to be honest. We're just sort of waiting for the jungle to begin, and it does look like it's going to be the sort of conventional lanes, top, mid, and bottom going to the correct lanes.
Yeah, definitely. And
we're seeing quite an engage up top here with Lee Sin. He's being forced to use those health potions before even picking up a CS, so that could damage the early game for him.
Yeah, and the thing is, neither top lanes actually have put out awards yet. Renekton doesn't actually own one. Lee Sin owns one in his inventory, but neither sport paid any attention to that top side. So both junglers are going to take their second buff and head up that way. And that's probably where we're going to see the first bit of proper action and potential first blood between them.
I think that early damage to Zyra's sort of really disrupted their early game already. There was quite a lot of damage going down on Lee Sin, being forced to pop another one's potions, but yeah, down at this bottom lane, that early damage to Zyra did prevent them playing that sort of aggressiveness at the beginning, but with them both on level 2, this is what I'm talking about, with these early levels, even if you're the one with the low health, you can put down a lot of damage with what's that 3 auto attacks taken.
Is coming into this top lane right now, so we're probably going to see a gank here. Renekton goes slightly aggressive. Nautilus has caught him.
Now, if Renekton can get a level here on Slice and Dice, he may be able to get away, but does look, there's a Slice, maybe the Dice to get away. He went
Elise is coming into this, so they could potentially go
that's
first here, first or the lead in. Nautilus now wants to run away. Elise's repel comes up, but she doesn't manage to drop down on them quite quickly enough. So the kill goes to Renekton there. I mean, that's a great start for the Renekton, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, it's made my prediction wrong now, which is a little upsetting, but I'm sure I'll deal with it. There's a lot of damage being put onto this Sona, but Zyra's been kept at pretty minimum health all through this laning phase.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing with Sona's low health, is at any point when she drops below that kind of half HP mark, you know you're in real danger of giving away a kill in that bottom lane, which is obviously such an advantage at this stage in the game.
Yeah, especially just like you said earlier, she's got the lowest base health, and once she's at half health, she can easily bust it down. Like an auto attack, and if Caitlyn's maxing her Q, that can do a lot of damage if you put a lot of points into it in the early game, which most people do.
The problem with Caitlyn is obviously her her Peacemaker, sorry, means that she pushes the lane fairly hard, and Blue has actually won the pink ward in the Tribrush area, so if the Elise wants to roam down, she can probably get a really good gank off here, either pulling out a lot of the summoning spells from Sotan's bottom lane, or even grabbing the kill early for the Corki.
Caitlyn and Corki had just a sort of face-off there. There was a lot of damage going down top again. Renekton's going in there, Slice, Dice, going to get a couple more auto attacks, forces a flash, and I don't know if Lee Sin should maybe even stay in lane at this point.
No, I mean, he's looking in a really bad situation. Renekton has those 20 CS, which isn't a ton of CS, but he's sitting on 13 and really struggling to even get in there. Renekton's going to go aggressive again, managed to get the stun off, however, he is forced to sit back to his base.
Yeah, that's the thing, when you're first on Renekton, he's a manaless champion, but like, the only thing that matters is his cooldowns, and as soon as his cooldowns are back up, if you're low health, you'd know he's just going to come in on you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Renekton's going to get another probably aggressive item here and really push this Lee Sin out of lane. Caitlyn and Zyra perhaps should think about swapping with this Lee Sin, because he's going to really struggle, I think, in the lane unless the Nautilus can sit there and keep on ganking for him. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Nautilus stayed in lane for quite a while. We can see though that he's hidden in the top lane brush, so whether or not anything comes of that, we'll need to see when Renekton gets back, but he's going to be waiting there for a long time, which means splitting experience, and that is not going to help Lee Sin.
No, not at all. The Lee Sin does have his Ignite up, and Renekton's flash is still down, so there's quite good potential for a gank right here, or at least to force him straight back to his base and give up a couple of levels, giving that Lee Sin the advantage again.
Renekton's gone in now, and he's spotted as soon. Oh, Nautilus ultimate comes down. Can we see any more damage from this? I don't think. Oh! The hook's landed. Is it going to go down? Oh, the Ignite burns out. Health potions popped. Elise comes to lane. Game over. Everyone's safe.
And that Lee Sin actually missed this Q there, which would have been the execution. And that's really quite important, you know, that while he got a lot of damage on the Renekton, he can actually stay around, because Lee Sin took a lot of damage from this. Renekton's going to go in aggressively on top lane, pop his ultimate. Lee Sin's going to W to a ward right there, shield to a ward, and get away safely. However, he's going to be sitting there again, struggling to get farm, and Elise is just round there for safety, potentially looking for the gank from Lee Sin at turret. if she wants to. Nautilus down at the bottom, just taking away his blue, so at least it's actually fine.
Kill appeared down there. Oh, and Desire will maybe take him down and ignite. Wait,
yeah, and Caitlin's going to keep on chasing onto this Sona.
See, that's the thing. If this passive comes up for Caitlyn, she could do a lot of damage.
But just not enough mana there to finish her off. Even though she managed to hit a 6 and get her ultimate, just not enough mana. Sorry, I missed that kill right there. But I think that was just the case of Zyra getting caught, was it? Am I right to say?
Yeah, most likely. I almost got the end of it myself because I'm pretty sure it happened all pretty quickly. The shockwave does come out catching Nautilus, but nothing's really going to come of it. Takes a couple turret hits and backs out of there. Yeah, the action in the bottom lane, that did sort of come out of nowhere for me. I completely missed it myself as well.
At least trying to look for a gank into this mid lane. Nautilus's red buff is up, and Renekton knows something's up over there. Nautilus going to come around and try and stop him from taking the Wraith out. However, he needs to get that buff off the map, or at least ask that release in for help. They're going to dive on mid turret. Nautilus gets a good flash away. Ignite going down onto the Renekton and picking them up from the Diana. And they're just too low level to go that ham in the mid lane versus two champions. Zyra coming up from the bottom lane. Elise just managed to get away with the distance from the Orianna. So Lee Sin's actually pulling back that lead that the Renekton have, farming past the turret, and he's actually gonna probably really give himself a good chance in lane now at 1v1 in this Renekton.
Yeah, at that bit of action in the mid lane, Diana actually, there must have been a bit of poor communication with Zyra coming up there, and the Diana didn't really move forward because they definitely could have got that kill.
Yeah, definitely. Caitlyn just gonna stick with this farm. Corky's now on the upper foot, I'd say, versus Caitlyn, just pushing her right to her turret. And
yeah, no doubt.
As a Caitlyn, you want to be able to be getting lots of harassment, lots of aggression going down from the bot lane, and both teams coming out pretty evenly. Though Caitlyn's on a lot of health, so.
Oh, we've seen that come out. Sona comes out, stops it straight out. It's pretty easy. And we can see as well, because Caitlyn built up BF sword, but Corky has the Phage, and the Phage obviously gives you that extra bit of health as well, so the BF sword's going to seem a little less effective. It will definitely shred through Sona, but against Corky it'll seem a little less effective. Those Qs will appear to take a bit less damage.
Sitting looking very menacing right now. He does have his ultimate up, so if we see him come out, it's most likely going to be a kill right there. Sona still has a crescendo, so a bit of a good disengage. But will that Zyra be good enough bait? Will they lure him in? Nautilus just got to run off. Doesn't want to take any XP from his bottom lane. So
we're seeing a little bit of action there. Pulling out the Lee Sin ult just to get to safety. Renekton, obviously, once Renekton gets that brutalised, it gives him the cooldown reduction, a damage, the armour pen. He just becomes very scary with that one item. You see Elise coming in just now, the stun doesn't land, but it looks like they might still be going in for it and pop. Ult spot from Renekton, they're going in. Is the ignite going to be enough? The repel comes out. Renekton picks up the kill.
Yep, and that was some great play by the Renekton. He obviously a keen Renekton player, and it was really important actually killing him off there, because look at that minion wave that it's losing to tower. I mean, even if they didn't come out with the kill right there, he probably lost a level's worth of minions in one go from taking the beast.
Nautilus is there to try and pick it up. Nautilus does go in on a weak spot, knows the damage isn't there. And Corky and Sona were actually pushing very hard onto that bottom turret, with it sitting only with a couple hundred health left, 700 health left on that bottom turret. So that was quite a lot of damage.
And that's very scary, especially if the Elise and the Orianna decide to roam to this bottom lane. They can push that down and potentially make an engage off it. The Caitlyn's actually sitting on a lot less farm than the Corkin. Think of Caitlyn, you think of this really early game AD carry that shouldn't be getting harassed quite as heavily out of lane as
no doubt,
what is happening right now.
We can see Nautilus here in mid lane. He does land the hook, the shield comes out. Can Diana get in? Is the ult going to land? Shockwave out, double wombo combos. There we go, damage done, and Nautilus picks up the kill.
Yeah, and that
Oh,
would have
this
been really
top
nice.
lane has absolutely no health in its turret either.
Red team's
And we see it go
turret has
down.
been
That's the
destroyed.
first turret. First turret of, well, I was going to say theNUEL, but I'm not entirely sure how that second game's going, but our first turret down, and it goes to Birmingham.
And Nautilus coming into this top lane, trying to make the gank. Got to get some good damage down.
Crescendo comes down, forcing the Stranglethorn bot lane. The barrier comes out. Can Caitlyn get away? No. The ward comes out, giving the vision, and Zyra goes down.
And the double kill picked up by the Birmingham in the bottom lane. However, Renekton's looking in a scary situation on the top, but manages to use his ulti, take that extra health, and actually almost turn the gank round into a kill onto the Lee Sin. So Birmingham doing a really good job at that bottom lane of taking advantage of the Corki having that Sheen and the Phage already. So.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to see this bottom lane go down. I don't know if they'll leave it the turret to deny that extra
Red
bit of
team's turret
experience.
has been destroyed.
Yeah, there's a second turret down, and Birmingham are looking to pull out quite an advantage here.
Yep, and fair enough, Nautilus wanted to gank on that top lane. However, he didn't have his ultimate up after the kill, and Elise is going to come in here on top, potentially picking up a kill here,
Stun
most
does land,
likely.
and this looks as if it's going to be a pretty easy kill. They're almost toying with him at this point, although Elise does not have a lot of mana. And Orianna came up for the cheeky little assist with only putting that shield on Elise.
Yeah, and both teams need to probably be looking towards this dragon right now, either in order to claw back the advantage Birmingham have, or for Birmingham to take it a bit further. Neither team have really looked interested in the dragon at this stage, which is pretty odd at the 15-minute stage, but
Well,
I think...
there is the Pink Ward battle going on. Sona Pink Ward first, with Zyra just doing the cleaning just now.
Yep, and I mean that's all good and well, but if you're not actually taking any gold from it and forcing those team fights to get golden objectives, the Pink Wall battle not really worth much.
No, but the lead from Birmingham, it does make sense, since when we looked at the league rankings, Birmingham did come out. They had 3 diamond players against Southampton 2, and there we go, Birmingham on the dragon. They have the vision there, so they know that they're going to be able to comfortably take this. They have a strong enough lead not to be intimidated by it.
Yep, and off this, Soton actually managed to basically nothing as they were taking that dragon. So that's going to give Birmingham the potential to push down this mid lane. They have 4 in the mid lane. Corky's going to continue to farm and push bottom. Soton's lane clearing is actually pretty good, so it's going to be pretty hard for Birmingham to deal much damage onto the turret. But it has forced them to group up right now, which obviously means Corky can take continuous advantage with the CS bottom lane.
Even with that slight price increase on Phage going towards the Trinity Force, we see Corky already pulling out the 15 minute Trinity Force, and 15 minutes is such good pace for picking up a Trinity Force, because the burst that's going to come out from Corky now is probably going to surprise a few members of Soton if they're not too familiar with them.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of 1v2ing and just being able to split with that Trinity Force, the extra movement speed in that is just brilliant for being able to be a menace and kind of just to be able to 1v1 most people, which we're going to see right now. Corky's walked on top of a ward. Caitlin's going to try and get some damage out.
We've got quite an engagement on bottom force to Zyra. The shot paper comes out. Zyra gets taken down. Is the passive going to help with any damage towards Corky? Flying in the side and just stealing that kill, guaranteeing them the blue buff. Probably better off to go to Corky, and they might be looking to go on Nautilus. Nautilus does get engaged on. Everyone throws their damage in. Orianna picking up the final kill, and Corky just not giving a damn here, popping his barrier to take the damage from the Caitlyn out, and he's going to chase behind turret. Oh, forcing the barrier coming out, stopping that last bit of damage from Corky, still taking the kill. I think this game is looking already very strong for Birmingham.
Yeah, they're taking a really good pace at this stage of the game, and just really force those objectives straight out, catching Southampton with that Corky split pushing, drawing a couple of members to him, and then engaging straight on to take that mid turret. So brilliant play from Birmingham. In return, Lee Sin was pushing down that top lane. He realised there was very little he could do on the mid lane with the engage already happening. But what went wrong really there in the fight for Southampton? Southampton A.
I think it was probably positioning and again down to communication. We spoke about this earlier on about how the team would play together, the synergy between the members, and for all we know, Birmingham don't play a lot of rank 5s, whereas Southampton might be playing it a lot more. That's why, no, sorry, Birmingham will play more rank 5s when Southampton might be playing it a bit less. So that is probably why we're seeing that strength coming from Birmingham.
Yeah, but in terms of mechanics in the lanes, there hasn't actually, apart from the top lane, been any really noticeable huge outplays from the mid lane. I'd say top lane, the Renekton really got that early game advantage from the gank from Elise, turning that round, and the bottom lane similarly. But I mean, there's no real obvious mechanical differences between the two teams. I wouldn't say that jumped straight out at me at the start of the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Renekton jumped, but he has shown quite dominant strength over his opponent. But that's really the only one that's shown again dominance in the lane.
Yeah, definitely. I think the other two were a matter of wrong engages or wrong situations to go in on, but neither really jumped out at me as they're harassing them far too much. They're just genuinely better players. So, you know, I think this is going to be the thing with the new league. Obviously, they're all at university together, and it means that they're going to like play different maps with each other.
We see quite a strong engagement as the Crescendo lands, and can the damage come down? No, from Corky, just finishing off. The range on those rockets just really helping pick up that kill.
Yeah, and Southampton is such a bad situation right here. They haven't got the disengage now from the Zyra, which means that Birmingham can just probably push down onto this inhib turret and probably take the inhib with very little
Diana's dive down. That seems like just a huge mistake from the game. That's going to let them go in. They're just going to walk over Caitlyn. I don't think Coffey's going to chase the Renekton. I've completely forgotten what was his name there. And he does get brought pretty low. Lee Sin looks to maybe try and come in and ninja a kill, but it's not. Forcing that ult there, that was probably a poor decision. They're not really going to get much out of this, and they might give up a kill. Or, almost missed it, no, it's like that.
Yeah, and Birmingham have just shown what real teamwork is right here. Sota really struggling, being forced into these sort of 3v5, 2v5 engages. Leeson getting in there, managing to pick up a kill on the Elise. However, they come out with the kill on Leeson afterwards. It was a bit of a suicide engage. I think at this point, Sota just being very lackadaisical about the plays.
Cheeky like Oriana taking that. That was going to come down just to stop the back, and I thought Caitlyn was going to go down there. That would have been exciting to see how that would have run. But Cocky's picked up that Bloodthirster now, and that's just going to elevate his damage even more. Once he gets that little bit of farm to build the stacks on it, his damage is going to be very, very strong.
Yeah, and you know, Sotan needs to stay as a group and needs to just turtle these last two inhib turrets.
Yeah. If you see the way Renekton's built as well, that a tanky Renekton is it's so scary. You've seen it a lot during Worlds, and just once Renekton has health, he has levels over you. There's no killing him once he pops his out.
Yeah. I think in terms of where Birmingham are going to go from here, I'd expect to see the Baron in order to just take these safe pushes on these two in him.
We see Lee Sin going again here. He's only just going to get away, and yeah, nothing's going to come from that. Even with Nautilus at the side there, I don't think they've got the damage to go in. Sona's coming up too, but she's going to come up and ward.
And they're going to make start with Baron straight away. They see the Diana farming out the bottom lane, know that a potential only 4 members are going to be here.
Renekton's going in, just showing his tank, just popping that ult, completely shredding Nautilus, who can arguably be the tankiest member of Soton. That ult comes out, just completely shreds everyone. That's just showing how strong Oriana can get if you leave up to farm and pick up 4 kills. And it is I really hope Renekton gets really good. Down on him and
trying to get in.
Yeah, Renekton goes down, Lee Sin gets taken down as another kill, but it's a consolation kill at this point.
And Tyler getting up there, Sonia's, but Corky's going to pick it up. She did almost take out that Corky, getting a bit too aggressive.
Oh!
And actually make a massive fail, right? So, in fact, Southampton didn't actually come out of that too badly. It was a 3-4 for Southampton. However, it could have been a lot worse. They're just going to push down now onto this inhib turret, Elise and Sona. 3 members of Southampton are up, so have to be careful, but they do manage to take it. The super minions were starting to attack the Nexus turrets, and it kind of distracted them from the Elise and Sona dealing damage onto that turret.
Yeah, I think we'll see Baron being taken out. Sona just walking completely by that ward, but I think we'll be seeing the Baron started pretty soon. That'll probably call the close of the game for Birmingham. Birmingham will probably finish not long afterwards.
Yep, and I mean that was great Oriana ults that actually probably saved that engage there, but the Renekton just kind of went ham straight over that wall, and Corkies don't really want to be forced to use their Valkyrie in order to get over walls. They want it as a repositioning tool. So, I mean, that could have gone badly for Birmingham if Oriana hadn't have managed to get that clutch ultimate, which dragged in 2 of the Sotan's champions right there.
Well, Corky did use it for repositioning. He was just repositioning himself into a very aggressive position. And it showed that you can see his damage is ridiculous just now. Oriana already has that. She has a Rabadon, she has a Sock Juice, and we've got another thing going on, and Zyra's probably just going to be completely shredded here. The Nautilus will be repelled away, which I've never seen before, because I don't think I've ever seen Nautilus versus Elise there, but that was quite interesting to see that could happen. Sona does come in, missing the crescendo, but all the damage just comes down and shreds Corky, picking up a double kill. Now sitting at 10-2 and 4. Very scary Corky.
Yeah, very scary indeed. And they're just going to take this inhib now. Quite a big wave coming from the bottom lane, and still an existing wave in the mid lane. Next is going to go aggressive onto the Nautilus. Lots of damage coming out and blowing him straight up. They're just going to push through onto the Nexus turrets here. And I think that's going to be a game, first game to Birmingham right now. So this is just the best one, but they will advance into the second stage of this top bracket right now.
Yeah, big congratulations to Birmingham. All the GG well plays coming out on the chat, and Birmingham progress on to the next round.
Yeah, and that was a great game, you know. Sotan in the early game weren't looking too bad at all, but Birmingham really did a great job of just putting their foot down as soon as they got that lead, grouping, taking that dragon and pushing through onto the mid turrets. At that point, it was just a bit of a runaway game for Birmingham. Sotan didn't have much chance. So next up, we have what is the quarter-final of this top bracket. We are yet to know the second of the teams which are going to be facing Birmingham. However, we have some brilliant games to come up.
Yeah, we'll be jumping to that game hopefully in about 10 minutes time. So go get yourself a drink, do what you need to do, come back, and you'll see who's in the quarter-final to qualify for the Super 8.
Yeah, cheers guys.